And for myself, like happiness within, it honestly feels like a heart opening for me because, and then it feels very different to have a closed versus an open heart. And, throughout the day, I could definitely feel that sometimes it closes up. But happiness from within for me is definitely a place of feels like an opening, expanding. Yeah, it feels like literally a happiness and joy that expands through my heart. And it's to deepen that even more, it's that fulfillment piece of knowing that I am living my purpose and that I am growing and that I'm creating an impact in some way. And so those are my ways of deepening in happiness and fulfillment for me and my clients.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another beautiful episode of Happiness from Within. I am beyond ecstatic. We have another beautiful guest today. Her name is Tammy. She is a former patient care leader turned international best-selling author and authentic leadership and fulfillment mentor specializing in face and body analysis and human design and NLP. She helps impact-driven founders and leaders fall in love with their authentic selves so they can expand their emotional abundance and break through plateaus to achieve sustainable success and fulfillment without the pressure of constantly chasing more. So I actually have her here in front of me. How are you today, Tammy?
I'm great, Janet. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here today. So the first question I have for you is, what does happiness from within mean to you?
That's a great question to start with, and a great place to feel into to start with. And for myself, like happiness within, it honestly feels like a heart opening for me because, and then it feels very different to have a closed versus an open heart. And throughout the day, I could definitely feel that sometimes it closes up. But happiness from within for me is definitely a place of feels like an opening, expanding. Yeah, it feels like literally a happiness and joy that expands through my heart. And it's to deepen that even more, it's that fulfillment piece of knowing that I am living my purpose and that I am growing and that I'm creating an impact in some way. And so those are my ways of deepening in happiness and fulfillment for me and my clients.
That's beautiful. Yeah, this concept of expanding is really resonating with me right now, and I'd like to expand
Mm.
more on that because that's something that you specialize in is you help people expand their emotional abundance. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's interesting, Janet. It's actually in my human design that this is one of my gifts, and it was funny how it landed. And then I went back, and it was so interesting how it actually said the same thing. So very much expanding emotional and spiritual abundance, and the whole premise of happiness and fulfillment comes from a feeling in our heart in many ways, and to expand the place in our emotions. Um, it's often what is the path to our soul. Our emotion is the path to our soul in many ways. And so this expansion often, not always, looks like addressing trauma, emotional upset, knowing how to navigate emotions and not to let emotions run our lives, to be able to lead our emotions and therefore our energy leadership. So a big part of expanding is literally having our energy be open, and it literally feels like an expansion. And oftentimes we are in a place where we feel in a good place. We feel like, yeah, it's okay, it's good enough. And depending where we are in our journey, we're searching for more meaning, more happiness. There's more for me. And there's some people on the other end of the journey where they feel like they're living their path and everything. And they always know that they're the ones in the way and there's more expansion within them. And so there's always pockets of places that we may not be connecting to that we may need to expand. And that's where the face and body analysis that I do comes in as well.
Wow, that's beautiful. So take us back. Where did all this start from? I mean, what got you wanting to go into this field, I mean, because you do a lot of deep work. I mean, I also, we're going to be going into, I wanted you to talk about like uncovering emotional blocks and how you recently, it's draining people's energy because you do a lot of deep work. I mean, just curious what got you interested in wanting to go into, human design and all these beautiful gifts that you have.
Yeah, I love to, Janet. And honestly, I'm one of those people. I used to be, a nurse, patient care leader for 20 years. And there was a place that I was doing all these things and I wouldn't think to even do business. But as I was on my own healing journey, I literally was in this healing retreat in Greece. And I got this big download, and it shook me to the core that I'm meant to help people heal and literally to help them feel. And so that was one of the huge messages I got, right? But essentially, it was my own healing journey. And I might have mentioned this to you sometime, but essentially, it's like where I was working as a nurse one day and I felt chest pain and heart palpitations. And it literally, like they say on TV, I was radiating up my jaw and down my arm and all these things. And I was struggling to breathe.
Wow.
And it was a place where I essentially was wheeled off to emergency in front of everyone at work. So there was really no turning back. It was the best place for something like that to happen, of course, Janet. And, definitely a big gift to slow me down because leading up to that point, I knew I wasn't doing well. Like I was having so much anxiety, I was losing my ability to focus. And I even got a doctor's note to take time off. But I was like, oh, yeah, I'll leave after this week because I have this commitment to these patients, the doctors I was working with, my colleagues, right? And I couldn't emotionally let go. And I think for the audience listening, right, a lot of times, oftentimes we know what the right thing is to do. It's often letting ourselves do it that is the issue. And that's where the emotional resilience and leadership comes in, right? And so I was grateful for that. It slowed me down enough to be a bit more present. But what really woke me up was when I had my first baby daughter. She was 6 months old, and she was lying down on one of those baby Einstein mats in my living room floor. And she intentionally hit one of those dangling toys for the very first time. And um, I honestly saw it, but I didn't feel anything. And if it wasn't for this nurse sitting beside me who pointed out how disconnected I was to my child, I wouldn't even have known how numbed out I was to my own child, like looking back now, that's so crazy, but it was like so real. And I'm so grateful for that, angel in my living room that awakened me because I had that realization, oh my goodness, like I'm turning into my mom who physically abandoned me, but I was emotionally abandoning my daughter, in that moment. And so that put a fire under my bum because that really pissed me off. So I'm not going to turn into my mother at that time, right? And yeah, and so that really propelled me into, obviously counseling and therapy, but and then also doing personal development. Every month I was enrolled in something to better myself, and at that time I ran a mastermind. We invested in real estate. I became a millionaire before I was 30, and I still didn't feel happy. I still I felt all the emotions of depression, anxiety. I had 24/7 anxiety. I woke up in the middle of the night with panic attacks. I was obviously chronically burning out. And so, yeah, I had to keep looking and I did, went to energy work and I did a variety of things from Reiki, bioenergy, shamanism. And I noticed that when I stopped doing the healings, I was exchanging healings, quite regularly with the people I was learning with and things like that. But once I stopped doing that, I noticed that all of everything was still underneath. So very much, it felt like a bit of a band-aid. And so I continued on my journey and I essentially pulled in, 4 years of emotional, spiritual healing. I came across psychosomatic therapy. And that is where, to keep things simple, study of the body, mind, heart, soul together as it's expressed through our facial features, through our bodies. And, I saw that I was like, really yearning for this love and connection and happiness. But another part of my body showed me how much I was pushing it away. And, that really woke me up. I was addressing myself in boxes, like trying to address the mind and then, the energy, and then it just felt like I was trying to fix all these different parts separately. And so psychosomatic therapy really brought it together for me and it made it tangible because I could see what was happening. And so bringing this all together, right, it brought me to like the first time I ever like actually feeling like I can love myself and that I feel like connected to myself. I had, my intuition was strong, but I wasn't letting it in. There was like so much that if you block out something in one area of your life, you're blocking in other areas of your life. What we do is what we do. And that was very apparent at that time. I was creating arguments with my husband. So my relationship with my husband now continues to improve. We've been married 23 years now. And so it's just another type of fulfillment that doesn't have to do with having to make more money because happiness didn't come from money for me. It wasn't about that. It's like there's those deeper values here that I realized was more important. And so this is what I bring to people now.
Wow, that's beautiful. No, thank you for opening up and, being vulnerable. This is what this podcast is all about is, really deep, digging deep and touching people's hearts and souls. Um, wow. Yeah, that's really deep, everything you shared. Thank you for that. I'd love to talk a little bit about, some people watching, listening might not know what human design is. I love the human design. When I got into that, I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like literally tells me so many things I
Mm.
didn't even know about myself and it aligns. But can you talk a little bit about just briefly what is human design and, how we can incorporate that, you know, into
Yeah,
our life?
of course, yeah. I mean, for those that don't know, human design is a system, four different spiritual systems. It has the chakra system. They call it centers, but essentially very similar. It's bringing the I Ching, the Tree of Life, Kabbalah, Tree of Life, and all these pieces, astrology. And you require your when you're born, where you're located, as well as your birth time, and it's crazy accurate from what I've seen.
Mhm.
It's just everyone I've spoken to, it's like when I had a very good amount of self-awareness ready, but when I read my human design, it spoke to things about me that I wouldn't even know to ask. But it just like I felt like my body was energetically shifting and being recognized. So very much like often we are striving to do all these things to be seen and heard and to be validated at some level. That's how I felt just having my human design reading. So I was so intrigued and I had to bring it into my work and of course live it myself and then bring it to my clients. And it's system where it highlights, what you're meant to do, where 70% of your energy is meant to be expressed through your soul, what you're meant to speak about, what you're meant to do within like the first 40 years of your life versus the latter 40 years of your life. And it's just the specificity of it is pretty crazy. At the same time, it's also a system where it's learning about yourself, but there's also a place of contemplation. I always encourage my clients to don't take things from at face value, to really like feel into it for yourself and to try it on and see how it resonates, right? But so far, it's been pretty bang on for all my clients.
Oh, that's beautiful. So
Yeah.
yeah, that you beautifully explained that. So yeah, those of you, interested in human design, yeah, you got to hit Tammy up. She can definitely help you with all that. So, so I
Yeah.
would love to expand more on this concept of how you help people expand their emotional abundance.
Mm, yeah.
Because, when we think of abundance, I think the first thing that comes into a lot of people's heads is it's always about money, and it's not just always about money. And you were talking about that. But
Hmm, hmm.
how is it that obviously everybody's case is different, but somebody listening, okay, that sounds nice, cheery, and joy, but
Yeah.
how can that help me? Like, what's one step that you could share that someone can apply today or start taking steps to expand their emotional abundance, break through plateaus, to achieve sustainable
Mm,
success and fulfillment
yeah.
without the pressure of constantly chasing more?
So it's a mouthful, and I think you said it like so beautifully. You kidding? But what I'll start with, and I think it'll become more apparent because I want to talk about the face analysis and how this highlights, and I think this will lead beautifully to answer your questions. Just because our facial features, structure, the way we breathe, the way we walk, speak about our essentially our inner alignment, emotional alignment. And so oftentimes where happiness comes from is feeling like we're living in alignment to who we are.
Mm,
Like a lot of happiness stems, feeling successful stems from this place. And so just to highlight that the left side of our face is our inner world, the private world, so to speak.
huh,
And the right side of our face is the public world and very much what we show the world. Of
huh,
course, we're looking at our face not in this lens, but I'm painting this out for you because yes, our face highlights a lot of our strengths and gifts and internal conflicts. And this, when I show someone like a split of the two left sides of their face versus the two right sides of their face, it really highlights where they may or may not be in alignment with self. And what is spelled out is often a direct representation also of our energy alignment, as well, how it's laid out in our face and our body. And so I want to speak about this because this alignment piece, and when we see that, for example, the left eye is a lot smaller than the right eye, for example, right? Size of the eyes, distance between the nostrils and the lips and everything, they all speak to something. And
Hmm.
so a big part of transformational work has a lot to is how our relationship with ourselves, who we see ourselves as, um, if we even know who we are versus what we've been told we are, and we're living from that place. And so face analysis just paints a beautiful picture of what has happened up to now, how we're actually being with ourselves
Hmm.
in the inner world and the outer world,
Yeah.
and to bridge that alignment and where emotional pieces are being held, very much like we hear about emotional blocks in certain parts of our centers and chakras, and it can lead to illness and all these kind of things, or energy misalignment that eventually lead into dis-ease and such. Like this is all painted through the face and body. And so I love to use this tool, if you will, to serve someone to really see themselves for who they are, to really change their relationship with themselves. Because the body doesn't lie. Our mind lies, it doesn't allow us to feel. So it really comes back to our body doesn't lie, and our body is the direct representation of our thoughts and emotions on the inner world. And so, I've had people that are far along in the journey, and, there's a lot of symmetry in their face, and there's a certain aspect, and interestingly enough, something I also do is bring in a bit of numerology, and it highlights like what is your soul's mission and why specific zones of your face speak to if you're in line with your purpose. So it's all related because being our authentic self has to do with living in alignment with our soul's purpose. That's actually what makes us happy and fulfilled, when we're bridging those pieces. And the only thing that's in the way, oftentimes, is the emotional pieces, the pieces that, we're much more likely as humans to focus on the positive, and there's, in and of itself is not a bad thing. But there's a tendency, human tendency is to move towards pleasure and away from pain. And I believe very much emotional and energy leadership has to do with really getting more in touch with ourselves, learning how to feel safe in our bodies through being able to hold ourselves and our emotions. This is a very crucial part of being human because literally it makes up our body. And it's time to stop addressing our body as separate from, our mind, from our heart, from our soul. And I know we get this at an intellectual level, but when we start to feel it and see it in the body in this way, and to really, deepen our alignment and our embodiment for who we actually are and fall in love with ourselves, damn, like that is something that it was the biggest gift for me on my journey of self-love, compassion, my leadership into my business. Everything opens up.
Wow.
And I understand that this, sounds and feels so wonderful. And I know a lot of people align to this, but another layer I want to bring people to is that often people come to me for these external reasons, whether it's like they want more money, sometimes it's like the relationship. Sometimes it is they want more happiness. I don't know, something feels like it's missing. Like
Huh.
whatever that is, whenever we deepen our deservingness level, we expand the emotional abundance
Mhm.
that we're able to actually let in and receive. All those other things work out. They start to open up, and they're actually opening up to receive it.
Hmm.
Because if you're blocking yourself out, you're also blocking that out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy. I know I explained a lot there, but it's just it's not we're not meant to look at everything in silo. We're actually one connected, aligned being, and it's time to live that way.
Hmm. Wow. Do you do you lead people through like mini meditations by any chance?
Yeah, I have done so. I haven't arranged one recently. I've recently done something where helping someone deepen into their actual desires of what they actually want, meditation into that. So I suppose I did do something like that recently, just to frame in my mind the same way.
I don't know why,
Yeah.
but I'm feeling this and I want to see how you feel about this. How would you feel right now to lead us through a mini meditation? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's whatever flows through you. How does that feel for you to provide that to our audience that's listening right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to doing some. I'm gonna see whatever my intuition guides me to do.
Woo!
And just yeah, and just let me yeah, let me know your audience and like, what they're obviously looking for happiness, right?
Yeah, a lot of my audience is women, also amazing men. I'm just gonna trust whatever's gonna flow through is gonna be it's gonna hit the right people that are listening or watching this. But yeah, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be long. I'm gonna give you the floor and I'm gonna close my eyes, let you guide.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna make this a bit of a more tangible experience. Because what I mean is oftentimes in the body, mind, heart, soul alignment that I'm talking about, um, sometimes we're moving forward in life and we're going for that next thing. And there's this place within ourselves that our body is actually closed to it. And so just allow yourself to, give yourself some space to just take a deep breath and just notice, right? Is there tightness in your body? Uh, Notice like your shoulders. I mentioned this earlier with the tightness in the chest, like when you're breathing into your heart, does it feel like there's some resistance there? And just allow yourself to notice that. And whatever you notice is perfect. Yeah, and just allow yourself to listen to my voice and notice, a goal that you are moving towards right now. Just really getting yourself into feeling it, experiencing it, it's already here. Like it's here in front of you. You're seeing yourself being successful, whatever that looks like. Look at who's around, what you see, and what you can touch, the voices you're hearing, having achieved that goal that you've been working towards. Allow yourself to feel those feelings. Hmm. And as you're experiencing this, notice how, your body is responding. Notice if your shoulders have like closed in, or did your shoulders get pulled back? Did you lean forward in your chair, or did you sit back upwards? And so just notice what you're noticing in your body as you were, feeling into the space of, having what you wanted. And take a breath into that and just noticing where you are with that. And so now with that experience, just notice what you noticed there, how your body responded to allow this into your life. as you were tuning into that? Did your body open more, or are you still feeling stiffness? Your shoulders are still rounded in. And I'm going to bring everyone, you know, to hold that a notice in that. And I'm just going to invite you into another short exercise so that you can determine how you're feeling and how to connect this within yourself to the first experience and how much you are allowing yourself to receive your life. Wow. Just taking a deep breath. And I'm just going to invite you to notice your breath right now and just feel, where is your breath going more to? You put one hand on your heart and one on your belly and just breathe and just notice, right? Is your chest rising more? Is your belly rising more? Or are they about even? Just notice that. Another last breath there. Yeah, thank you. And now I want you to just round your shoulders forward, kind of like someone you see that has their shoulders hunched back, hunched forward, I should say. And allow yourself to just breathe here. And taking a couple of breaths here, notice your relationship with your breath in this embodiment. And then moving up a couple centimeters, unrounding the back a bit, and breathing some more. Notice your relationship with the breath. And now we're going to sit up a little straighter, a couple centimeters, and breathing once again. Hmm. And now sitting up how you normally would sit up. Taking a breath, seeing your relationship once again. And now, when you feel like you're straight, I invite you to bring your shoulders back even more and breathe once again. And sitting up straight, if you feel like there's more space to be straighter in your spine, to allow your shoulders to open up even more, tucking your chin, bringing your neck over your shoulders. And breathe. And so do a little bit of a check in with yourself on the difference, on the quality of your breathing, right? As you were assessing your breathing just when we're starting, noticing the difference between, how our body is positioned and how much we're actually letting into our life. And the difference between when you felt that you were straight and when you opened up even more into alignment in your body and noticing the difference between where you were and how you feel when you're actually breathing, letting in more life as represented through your embodiment. And in this place, allow yourself to feel into that goal again. That goal in the first exercise that you imagined having now. Allow yourself to let that in this aligned place with your shoulders open to actually receive it. Feeling what you feel when it's right in front of you, seeing who you're being, who is around you. Breathing it all in like it's right here, hearing the sounds, hearing what you're telling yourself, perhaps, and noticing your quality of breath in receiving this in the alignment that you are in. And just thanking yourself for gifting the space to yourself. And just allowing the space that you're in to communicate anything that you may need to know in your experience. And when you feel like you're ready, I invite you back here. Just noticing the quality of breath you choose to bring back. Rise and shine.
Wow. Oh,
What's going on for you, Janet?
I just feel like I'm breathing better. I feel like my chest is more open. Your work is
Yeah,
really amazing. Wow, this was just a mini. Like this is just really great. I thought about that thing you were talking about and I just felt like I saw more abundance with that thing that I wanted that you were talking about at the beginning, that it's already there.
yeah. And it's also recognizing a lot of times where by holding our body a certain way, we're actually not letting in more.
Mm.
And a lot of times it's like, we say, yeah, I could breathe deeper, and that's great. It's yeah, our breath is the quality of our life.
Wow. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Mm.
That was really beautiful. I thank you for leading us through that. I have no doubt anyone watching or listening to this is going to get a lot of value. I just thank you for that. Really appreciate that. It was really, really beautiful.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for the, on the spot invitation. I'm always up for that.
I'm just feeling through what needs to come through for the people that the right people that are going to listen to this and that are going to get value. So yeah, I just if you don't mind, I had a few more questions.
Yeah, of course.
Again, I just want to say thank you for leading through us through that. That was really, really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. Um, when my next question for you is how do you want to be remembered when you take your last breath?
Um, you know, I honestly, what has been coming through recently is that I meant to be like really a saint or like, that's the word that keeps coming through, but I think representative of love.
Mm,
And my mission is really to help someone embody self-love and acceptance and lead with love leadership.
wow.
And so I want to be known as that. Like I want people to recognize that that was her beingness. Like, and I don't have a doubt that that will happen. It's just the amount of people that would know that. Like I already have people telling me that I hold this energy of compassion and love. And so I just want to reach more people. And so, yeah, that's what comes up when you ask me that.
Wow. Um, it's interesting. I feel like this is flowing, and I actually would like you to say that again. Just say that again out loud. Go ahead. How
Yeah,
you
everything or which part? I'm just,
just how you
I
want to
just,
be remembered. It was just so powerful. I
um,
just for you to there's no doubt that it's already happening. I just want you to say it for yourself again. Go ahead.
yeah, what has come up in my intuition recently, and I was very embarrassed to say it initially, but I've accepted and embodied this within myself that somehow I'm meant to be a saint, to really be that representation of love energy. And my mission is to help someone embody self-love and acceptance and to really be a leader leading from love first. And yeah, I have no doubt that this is happening, because I actually do have people regularly talking about my energy presence and leadership. And speaking of holding a really compassionate space, yeah, it makes my heart happy to, say that and speak that here. And I think I just want to reach more people. Um, and so through me reaching more people, more people are going to know about my energy and that I know that the next wave of leadership, it's not in what we do as it is much the energy that we are emanating from our being, which is the true essence of who we are. And just by being in my presence and your presence, that we are shifting the world. That impact doesn't have to do with, doing more in the world. Yeah, that's beautiful too. But it's like just by expanding our consciousness into, deeper love and peace and fulfillment to really exude this happiness from within, like we are shifting energetically that we will never see just because we choose to forgive ourselves and to love ourselves. You know, that couple having an argument in the car, they decide to just let go and love instead. This is the shit that we don't see that's actually happening. And I see it in my family whenever I choose to let go and shift it in my family. And I just want to remind everyone how powerful everyone has the ability to do this. And so that's what I want to be known for, I guess.
Woo! That's great. No, it's beautiful. That's great. How does that feel to say it again?
Yeah, it's like deepening.
That's great.
And yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been really beautiful. The last thing I just want to do is just open up the floor for any last minute words you'd like to share, and then we'll end.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, what comes up to be shared with all of you is that, one of the traps of life is like, we're always projecting who we want to be or projecting into the past and, oh, I did this wrong and whatever it is, right? And I just want to remind everyone that all we have is the present moment and to whatever you're feeling and whatever is happening to accept it. And the only reason, we're not necessarily, feeling like we're moving forward is because we're actually starting from the future and the past and we're not in the present, accepting where we are and making it wrong is like, it's okay.
Mm.
It's going to open up. And, it's one of the biggest ways to get unstuck. And very simple if you just allow it to be. So I just wanted to leave the audience, and I hope that landed with the right people who needed to hear it. So it sure solves a lot of problems that people are creating from the future and the past.
Mm, wow,
Yeah.
that's really
Mm.
beautiful. Well, Tammy, I want to thank you so much for being a guest here on Happiness from Within. Your details are going to be below, but where can people find you?
My website is pathtotheheart.com,
Okay.
exactly like it sounds. I'm on, LinkedIn, Instagram, and all that stuff will be in the chat.
Okay.
And I also will say that I also have my own podcast called Authentic Leaders Rising. Yeah, and so you can look me up on any platform that, has podcasts running. Most of them I'll be there.
Wonderful. I want to thank you from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for being a guest here on Happiness from Within. It's been such an honor. And I just wish you a great rest of your week.
Beautiful. Thank you for having me here, Janet. You're such a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon. And for those of you listening and watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful, fabulous day. And remember to smile because you're worthy.